Good Friday morning. I hope you're having a wonderful start to this pre-weekend. September 6th, I believe. Yes, I got my dates correct today. And I have to ask, do we have someone in our circle that who is greatly suffering? And they can resonate with Psalm 66:12, where they're going through some type of fire or some type of flood. And it might not be physically, but emotionally or mentally. We talked about briefly yesterday how Saul, he said, I'm not going to have those Philistines be the reason why I am dead. He had that great amount of pride, even in death. But interestingly enough, 2 Samuel, the first chapter, opens up with some more layers to the story. So apparently, we know that Saul, fell on his sword, and he did not complete the job, right? And I've heard of stories of this before, and these people would be on ventilators. I know of few instances where someone had tried to take their life and they were not successful, and maybe they took 100 pills or what have you, or they tried to shoot themselves in the head and they were not successful. They still lived. They might have been almost a vegetable. And this was the case with Saul. It says in 2 Samuel 1 that he was suffering. He was laying on his sword when there was a young man that came, and he was in anguish. It says in verse 9, stand, I pray thee, upon me. That's what Saul was saying to this young man. And slay me. For anguish, some of us feeling this anguish, great distress is upon me, because my life is yet whole in me. I'm still alive, but I'm suffering. So just finish the job for me, he's telling this young man. And then in verse 10 it says, I stood upon him and slew him, because I was sure that he could not live after he was fallen. Okay, so this young man goes to David, the next day, and tells him what happened. And of course, David and the whole camp, they are mourning, they're fasting, they're weeping. And David said, you shouldn't have killed the Lord's anointed. And I have to ask today, are we assisting in any way? And I remember the doctor from the 90s, I believe it was 90s, Dr. Kevorkian, where he was the proponent of assisted suicide. And believe me, I'm not making light of suffering, because there are people who are in great pain and distress. And he believed in people transitioning with dignity. But I'm asking, are we assisting people with their demise as far as mentally or spiritually not having hope at all? Or are we coming alongside with them and being that source of light? And we're ultimately pointing to the source of life and light. Remember the foundation. And we want them to ultimately have the testimony in Psalm 66:12. Yes, Lord, you brought us through the fire. You brought us through the water and the flood. But in turn, you have brought us into a wealthy place, a better place, even before that trial. Let us assist others into life. And in Psalms 126, there's going to be weeping. There's going to be suffering. The Lord promised that it's going to happen. He went through that. He went through a lot of agony. But in verse 6, if we could keep this in our heart, he or she that goeth forth, and they're weeping, they're crying. It's hard out here, right? But they're going forth in the name of the Lord, doing his work, bearing precious seed. We are planting seeds. We are impacting lives for the glory of the Lord. And the promise is, when we do that, when we put ourselves out there, don't you think I'm like, oh my goodness, Lord, why do you have me doing this day and night? Because I'm being obedient. If anyone hears it and one iota of their life is changed for the glory of God, pooh, bearing seed, planting seed. The promise is the return, the yield is they shall come again with rejoicing. They shall come again praising the Lord, bringing his sheaves, bringing the product, bringing the grain, bringing the blessings with him or with her. So let's go forth on this Friday, bearing precious seed, knowing that the Lord will get the glory, that he will get the honor, he will get the praise. Psalms 96:2, show forth his salvation day to day. Let's not be weary in well-doing. Amen. For strength and beauty are in his sanctuary. We are his tabernacles. We are his pillars. We are the sanctuary, the building, the edifices that carry the Spirit of God so that we can make a change out here wherever he has planted us. Have a wonderful Friday in the Lord and enjoy reaping. But first we got to sow in tears. Enjoy.